While some may be rejoicing in Kaduna State, it's not so for many in Plateau State, where about 12 PDP House members, or Assembly members if you like, have been removed. We have joining us now, Arise Judiciary Editor, Toby Shoni. Thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So let's narrow it down to the situation in Plateau State, where that many, assembly members have been removed. Did the PDP have this coming in the first place? I mean, based on the appeal court ruling that the structure was not there, that, brought about the emergence of their governorship candidate.
Yeah, thank you, Ngozi. I'm sure the PDP is expecting that judgment. They were only hoping and praying that, like Jesus Christ said, if it is possible, let this thing pass me. But unfortunately, it couldn't pass them, as we say in the court, you cannot put something on nothing. Right. The finding by the court that there was no valid congresses and primaries and what have you, and that is also in violation of a subsequent court order. The court is going to jealously guide its own order. So I'm sure that is the reason why they have to go. Whether the Court of Appeal is right or wrong is a different ballgame. Unfortunately for them, appeal in legislative election stop at the Court of Appeal. They are never ever going to get a chance to ventilate their grievances before the Supreme Court. So I think they are gone. They can only go and prepare for next round of elections, unlike the governor.
I wanted to expatiate on that, but again, before then, let's talk more about internal democracy. We've had that conversation here before.
Within the parties.
And it would seem as if the parties also have their legal advisor, don't they? That should have ordinarily, advised them against doing what they did. Now talking about going against a subsisting court order, barring them from going ahead with what they did on that day. There wasn't any kind of a proper convention for the party in Plateau State by the PDP.
Yeah, I think they argued otherwise. They argued that they held the primary. But between you and I, the level of impunity within political party is very concerning. Whether you talk of Labour, you talk of PDP, you talk of APC, all the parties are guilty. They are very lawless. They don't respect the views of members. They don't even respect their own constitution. And so sometimes the courts have come in to wield the big stick by trying to whip them into order. So look, you guys, you draw this constitution for yourself. Then it's behold on you to comply with your constitution. I guess maybe that is what the Court of Appeal is trying to do. That if your constitution says you should do congresses, then follow your constitution. If you don't, the court can still hold you liable for not enforcing your own constitution. And now they want to turn around and blame the court for actually forcing them to follow their own law.
Well, I wonder how the concept of the consensus candidate plays out, as far as this is concerned. I mean, couldn't the party have said, look, it's all about consensus candidate. We didn't necessarily have to, have primaries. Or do you need primaries to actually have a consensus candidate? Is that what it is?
Well, I think the Electoral Act stipulates how a primary is going to be conducted.
Yes. The three major...
Yes,
yeah.
And the consensus thing is one of them. But I want to believe that the one they apply, which INEC will also have to monitor, is the one that should have to be by congresses.
Right.
So if you are choosing that procedure, you cannot turn around to say, no, this candidate emerged by consensus.
Let's stay on the issue of internal democracy within the political parties. Like they say, you cannot give what you don't have. If you cannot practice internal democracy within your parties, how then do you even build the pillars of democracy in the larger society when you hold the reins of power? Is that where the fundamental issues that Nigeria is having actually emanate from the political parties themselves?
Well, I can't agree more, really. You just stated the obvious. We are very correct. If people cannot abide by their own party constitution, well, I don't want to say it too loud. You don't expect them to comply with Nigerian constitution, and you've seen that is why we continue to see these violations of constitution and not governing in line with the rules, you know. I mean, charity begins from home.
That's it.
You have to begin to learn to, I mean, do things legally, lawfully by complying with your own rules. Then if you do that successfully, you can do it at a national level. So Nigerian politicians are used not to adhering to rules. They just believe they can circumvent the rule. And that's how we come to invent the word go to court.
Yeah.
I will rig myself in their
Go
face.
to court, it's a family affair, we'll settle it as a family.
Absolutely. Well,
You know, speaking of
like
which, you know, it's been a busy week for the courts. Speaking of, you know, election matters, and it's quite amazing. You could easily, off the top of your head, you're a judiciary editor. Off the top of your head, you can write scripts for each group, but one of the key things here will be, how is it that the same politicians, one breath, would say they don't have hope in the judiciary, but once it tilts towards your side, you all of a sudden change the music to be that of hope. So what is it that we're not getting right when we talk about gaslighting or spotlighting the judiciary?
Well, that is a very good question. So, I think, first and foremost, most Nigerians that criticize judiciary have not read the judgment delivered by the court. I can bet on that. Most of them have not read a copy of the judgment. They base their commentary on what they see on pages of newspaper. And to a larger extent, we have not been very fair to the judiciary. Before you begin to dissect and to abuse them, endeavor to get a copy. Read it. I mean, see the reasoning for the judgment. We call it the ratio. But, you know, people just watch TV, listen to radio, and then start to abuse judges, and that is very critical. I mean, if you have not read the judgment, you cannot begin to abuse the judges. I mean, it just boils down to what you are saying, that when they win, the judiciary is the hope
of the common man.
Of the common man. But when they lose, the judges have collected money.
But you're aware that, you know, learned senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, only recently, actually, you know, in his intervention said, look, it's time to begin to eliminate the place or impact of the judiciary or their, you know, interference, for want of a better word, in the electoral outcomes.
I agree with him. I've said it long time.
How do we even make that happen?
You know, I said it long time ago that it is not the business of the court to decide who governs. That is not the job of a court. It's the job of the electorate. But some people disagree with them. I said it 1 year, 2 years ago, that the judiciary is going into murky water and it will not come out clean. And that is what is happening now. For me, the way out of this is for judiciary most of the time to let the politician go back to the electorate. If it's 100 times, let them go back. That is for people to decide who will govern them. It's not for 3 judges to say, we are removing 200,000 votes. What happened to the voter? So most of the time, what we are having is that people who didn't win election are being foisted on us. So if judiciary is wise enough, the best way to avoid the problem is like the politicians are shifting their problem to them. And unfortunately for judiciary, they are willingly accepting it. All they need to do is to push it back to them. So go back to the electorate. Let them do another election. If it's 3 times that they will get it right, let them go back. It is for the voter to decide. You cannot sit down in one courtroom and begin to delete 160,000 votes. that will have changed the landscape
Are there
of the election.
consequences really for our democracy? Because there's been talk about the likelihood of, the crisis of legitimacy.
Yeah, there are, of course, now there are problems. That some people will not bother to register to vote. You will see the vote. You see the number of registered voters, 93 million, maybe 34 million. Less than half of that will elect the president. That is one of the consequences. People have they've lost hope in the system. Some people will not bother to register. Some people will register thinking that they may punish them for not having the voter's card. If you go anywhere during election, you see people playing football, doing other things. They are not bothered. That is a very big consequence. It means that the people electing those who are governing us are not the majority. They are just some minority pushing their own idea on us, and the politicians know this. They keep on exploring it. So if the judiciary keep on saying that, go back to the electorate, maybe they will instill confidence in the system and more people will actually come out to vote. They believe that their vote will not count. So it's another consequences of this thing we are talking about. But when people begin to believe that their vote will count, they will go out to vote.
Well, we hope that we'll still stay on issues like this, because it looks like a big plan by the political parties against the judiciary in a subtle way. Toby Shoni, many thanks as always.